love me, and I love you.
Content warning. The stories and themes shared throughout this podcast may contain themes that can be distressing for you. If needed, please pause and do what you need to do to take care of yourself. If needed, please reach out to a mental health professional for support.
Welcome back to another episode of Resilient AF with Blair and Alana. But common theme here. This is not Alana. This is my friend Jennie Edwards, who also knows Alana, so that's cool. I met Jennie a few years ago in LA at a gifting suite. You guys know Alana and I go to gifting suites. We've been meaning to connect. We finally connected. There's a magic here, and Jennie is absolutely amazing. So I'm so excited to bring her into our world in the Global Resilience Project because she's a brand visionary storyteller, photographer, videographer, TEDx speaker. She empowers people to show up confidently and authentically on camera. As the best-selling author of Empowered You, she inspires readers to activate their best self and live a magnetic, fulfilled life. With a blend of creative strategy and contagious energy, Jennie helps entrepreneurs and brands express their message through powerful visual storytelling to build trust and magnetize more clients online. Off camera, she's affectionately known as Joyful Jennie, which is like very much who she is, juggling business, impact, and motherhood with humor, heart, and a coffee in hand. And so I am so honored to welcome you here today. So, hi, Jennie.
Hi. Thanks
Hi.
for inviting me to be here. I'm so
You're
excited.
welcome. So, that bio obviously is her business bio, but we're here to talk about resilience. And first of all, being an entrepreneur is like the ultimate test of resilience. So there's no doubt in that. But Jennie shared with me a story, and we're going to talk about it. She shared that she was in a car accident. The first responders had to use the jaws of life to remove her from the car, and she was hospitalized for 5 days along with her father. Walk us through that. Why don't you tell us about that leading up to it? Where were you going? When was this? Where were you? Tell us that story.
hmm Well, it was actually, this happened when I was in college, so it's been a few years, but it taught me a lot of things through the process, as we can all look back on times in our life that we have learned life lessons. And what was happening was it was just like a simple, I'd gone back home to visit my dad for Thanksgiving, and we were driving, and it's really fascinating how the brain works and how sometimes the brain like erases things
Mhm.
from our memory because I don't even recall the impact of the vehicle. But we were driving on a country road. I'm from Illinois, and I mentioned to my dad apparently because he's recounted this many times. Like, I don't think that car on the cross um, road is gonna stop. I don't think that car is gonna stop. And they had a stop sign, and we had the right of way, and this car was going 60 miles an hour, and so hit us like broadsided us and spun the car. I don't remember this at all, but it spun the car, and that car actually hit a house, and our car went into the ditch. I was in the passenger side, and the door wouldn't open. They had to get the jaws of life to get me out of there. And um, I actually like hit my dad, and he got more injuries, and he was in a worse scenario than me because I remember when I saw him in the hospital having to go. I mean, first of all, if any of you have ever been in a car accident, that moment when they gave me a mirror to look at myself, I didn't even recognize myself. My face, like my whole jawbone was crushed. I was like all black and blue and swollen, and it's such a weird experience to not even recognize yourself in the mirror.
Mhm.
So really scary situation. And then I had to go, see my dad in that situation too, and his health, he had more injuries than me, so that was tough. That was really tough to see him that way. And thankfully, I had courage to just really stay strong and like, I'm going to get through this. I'm going to make it through this. And even though I had to go back to college, like injured, had to use a cane to walk around, hobble around on campus, and have these injuries, but I was able to get surgery and get it rehabilitated. And what I learned from that is about resilience. Because it's like I have to be strong so that I can heal. I have to, heal my body, heal my mind, and ultimately like make the best choices that'll help others be able to thrive too.
That's a lot. And like I can't even like I've been in a few car accidents, but never to that extreme. So first of all, thank you so much for sharing because even the smaller, like the less intense accidents I've been in were a lot and very traumatizing. You said you broke your jaw. What were the other injuries? Like what? You were there for 5 days in the hospital. What else
Mhm.
were the
And then I
injuries?
had my knee hit the dashboard. So it was all messed up, which is why I had to use a cane to be able to walk around. And then I also had hit because my cheek went around and hit my dad's shoulder. So there were some issues. Then he had problems with his shoulder and his eye. So it was just, yeah, an interesting experience, really.
Yeah. And your dad was in the hospital even longer.
Yeah, he was in the hospital for a week and then he had some longer injuries like dealing with his eye and to rehabilitate. But, we survived and the other person just had like a sprained ankle, which is crazy.
Wow.
So,
Um, so you had to go back to college and what kind of mental health support did you get, if any? And like, what was that like going through something so traumatic and seeing your life flash before your eyes and like then having to go walk amongst the general population and like go back to class because school's intense. And I mean, if you broke
yeah.
your jaw, I would imagine that like from what I know about now about concussions, like you must have had a concussion of sorts.
Yeah, I don't even know. It was actually my cheekbone, but they had to go up through, my mouth and do that whole surgery. So I don't know about as far as concussions wise, and there was no like ongoing support or anything from a doctor or any kind of, support system. But luckily, I had the support of my family. I was able to
Mhm.
talk to my mom. My mom kind of this all happened like during Thanksgiving break. What a way to spend Thanksgiving break.
Yeah.
And then I had to go back into finals week. So that was intense, as a college student, like I have to walk around campus with a cane, I have to do finals, and it definitely was a rocky road there. But I think ultimately what I came back to is gratitude. Gratitude that like, hey, I might have a cane,
Mhm.
but I can still have mobility. I
Mhm.
might have these scars and bruises, but I'm still alive.
Mhm.
And it was really brought me back to a place of gratitude and a place of like self-reflection, which I've done so many times over the years. Actually kind of created a mantra about it. About that every day is a celebration,
Yeah.
choosing to celebrate little things each day, even if it's not your birthday or your uh, anniversary or special thing. Like, what's one thing that I can celebrate each day? One little thing. Like, I can breathe. I can, I can
How
walk.
do you do that? Like, how do you like? Do you have like a built-in like? So I have a gratitude alarm. It goes off every day at 9 p.m. and we have a gratitude practice. Do you have like something that like a specific type of practice to celebrate each day?
I do. I have a morning practice and I do my little short visualization, a guided visualization. I love Insight Timer because it has a whole variety of meditations and things. And then I have a practice of choosing what am I grateful for. And then throughout the day, I also I have my easy button on my desk.
Oh,
So I like to just choose to like make things easy and come back to gratitude and joy, because my nickname's Joyful Jenny. So like, how can I just make things easy and make things more happy focused? And that really helps me, just have a visual like, oh, that was easy. That was
Yeah,
easy.
I
That
love
was
that.
easy.
Is that's from Staples, right?
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
that. And it's funny because my whole thing is like the rest of my life, I want it to be like ease and peaceful and and I think that's really great. And like gratitude has definitely been a big part in me being able to shift the way I see the world, which is similar to like what you celebrate. So I just have a couple of like follow-up questions about the accident because of like I know how I am. So I recently, well, I've been in a couple car accidents like in the last 6 years. One of them, I got a concussion. So I was on the way home from my grandfather's funeral, and I was on the
Mm.
highway with my husband. He was driving. I was sleeping, and the car in front of us on the highway just stopped, and we were in a huge truck. So we Shane slammed on the brakes, but we couldn't stop in time and we hit that car. We rear-ended a car. And so because I wasn't bracing and I was asleep, my body woke up to the impact and I got a concussion. And so there's that. And then a few years later, it was right before my dad died, after my mom died, I was at the back of a pileup on a highway and my car ended up like sideways in a ditch, pretty like a little bit of damage, but like pretty like it could have been really, I was on a highway. It was pretty like, I don't even know, like all of a sudden I was in a ditch and I felt like there was like the responders, first responders were like, you must have a team of angels protecting and like, well, I literally do because everyone is dead. Like I don't even know what happened there. But now when I'm driving, I am so paranoid. So like if I'm in a car and it's if someone's driving and it's too close to the car in front, like I can't help but like you need to give like at least three car spaces on the highway or like we're
Yeah.
too close and like even with me, like when I'm driving, I'm extra careful now. I'll never be too close to a car. I will never let myself
Mhm.
get too close to the car. I live like somewhere with lots of highways.
Yeah.
Residential is a little different, especially if the speed limit's low. But like when my sister drives or when Shane drives, it's like like so like my body remembers, right? And so slamming on the brakes or like the other day we were driving and like a cop came from behind us and like we didn't even see them and just like we almost like they almost collided with us and they didn't, but it's like my body goes back to that
Mm.
impact because like I don't want to have another brain injury or be in an accident.
Right.
How were you about getting in cars after and like what did you do to like navigate that?
I think I also understand like that feeling of because I'm really aware of that distance
Yeah,
too.
like the
And like,
somatic experience, right? Like it's like
yeah, it's too. It really ingrains this feeling of caution and concern. And then, being in a car when someone else is driving is sometimes hard when I don't have control over
mhm.
that situation. And I really want to have control. Like, I will drive.
Yeah.
I will drive and I will be like ultra aware of everything. So that definitely has ingrained in my body.
Yeah, and it's so interesting. Like, were you guys when you were doing driving, and I know you don't remember everything, but like, were you listening to something specific on the radio or the or music or wearing something specific that like like I don't know about you, but like I it's not that I'm superstitious. I don't it is superstitious, but like an example, so my very first car accident I got in. Yes, guys, I've been in a few car accidents. I'm not a bad driver, but I my uncle had just given my mom gave me a car that was from my uncle. It was like a 92 Sunbird. I was so pumped. I was in high school, had my own car. I was driving my sister to school and like I turned and I got hit. We got T-boned.
Mm,
And Alana and I still both suffer from like repercussions from that. Like I had like a seatbelt injury and like we like I think my face hit the steering wheel. My sister has neck and jaw issues from that. But
mm.
we were listening to my favorite CD of all time. CD, that's how long ago it was.
Yeah.
And it was the Fugees,
Oh,
the
yeah.
score. And I can't listen to the Fugees when I drive. If it comes on shuffle, I change it. I still to this day,
Wow.
that was high school,
Mhm.
which I know I look young, but like a long time ago. And I still to this day refuse to listen to the Fugees. And then my friends have a really good podcast called A Little Bit Culty, and Sarah was in one of our books. She was the one of the Nexium whistleblowers from a sex cult. Anyways,
Mm.
her podcast is really good, and I was listening to it when I got in the car accident. I was at the back of the pileup, and I wasn't distracted. But now I'm like, okay, I can't listen to that podcast when I drive.
Mm, hmm. Well, we actually, I don't think we're listening to anything because my dad was driving and he doesn't usually listen to music in the car.
Mm,
But I do notice that because whenever I go back to Illinois to visit him, I always have to drive on that road. I have to drive on that same road. And then because of our accident at that time, afterward, they installed like a four-way stop with like a
oh,
red flashing light on each way. So
yeah.
I always, every time, like I go through that whole memory when I go through that intersection. And it's like, I definitely make aware, like, I am stopping, is everybody else stopping? I'll sit there and wait on this country road to like double check,
Yeah.
triple check, there's no cars coming. So,
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, I'm not worried about me on the road. I'm worried about everyone else. Like, where I live right now, um, where I live, like, to get to my street, there's a left-hand turn. And it's also off a highway. So, like, it's a very big trucking route. And, like, late at night, sometimes the truckers don't stop at red lights. So, like, I, I've seen it a couple times myself in a few years. So I'm so paranoid about, like, thinking like it's a red light and that the truck's going to stop, but instead they can't because they're just going too fast and they keep
wow.
going. And so it's like this extreme paranoia where like I'm so hyper aware and like, you know, I don't know. I
Hmm.
mean, have you been in any other car accidents since then?
Um, Nothing like, no, I haven't actually. But I noticed that just thinking about being hyper aware is in life, being hyper aware. There's this interesting, I don't know if you've noticed this, but part of it is like, because my mom, I think about my mom, she's a like a chronic worrier. She's always worrying about stuff and has high blood pressure. And I'm like, I don't want to, I don't want to worry so much. I want to be aware, but then also trust that like I'm going to make the best decision or it's all going to work out. Or so there's an interesting kind of fine line about that. Being like hyper aware, but not like soaking it in so that you're too like rigid about
Right.
it or it increases your blood pressure or things like that. So,
So I think there's a difference between being hyper aware and worrying, right? Like worrying,
mhm,
anxiety. Like I'm from a long
right.
line of anxious people and I've done a lot of work on my anxiety and I'm very medicated and I've done a lot of therapy. But like, being grounding and being present and
Yeah.
being aware is different than worrying about the things that may never happen.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's
Yeah.
that difference. And I think our parents' generation, it's different. There's a lot more stress and worry maybe just because of things they've experienced in life.
Mm-hmm.
But it's interesting because like I am never worried I'm going to get in another car accident, but I'm hyper aware. But I'm not like, oh, I'm going
Yeah.
to crash. I'm like I'm aware. I'm like, okay, well, like I know trucks are crazy, so just be aware. But I'm not like, oh, I might get
Mm-hmm.
in an accident. And like I think there's a huge difference about like getting behind the wheel with confidence and knowing you're a good driver and being aware of like that four-way stop that you got in an accident at, or like being scared every time you get in the car, worried that something's going to hit you or you're going to hit something, which is like two different things, right?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And even the phrase, I was thinking about the phrase because I grew up with, and maybe you could relate too, people would say, my parents be like, be careful, when you go out, like, be careful. And I've heard, I'm a mom, so I say this too, and then I'm like, wait, I've heard things saying like, don't say that, be careful, because our words are spells, the words that
Oh,
we
yeah.
say.
Words you say matter.
Yeah. So I like what you were sharing of like, be aware, be
Yeah. And
aware.
it's
And
interesting. I'm
awareness is a
thinking,
good thing.
so I don't have kids. And I think about like my husband and I both travel a lot, and Shane's on the road. So like we live in Canada. He's a ski rep for BC and Alberta. So he's driving on like some of like North America's craziest highways in like peak winter. So like mountain passes and snowstorms and blizzards and black ice and things you don't have in California. Hopefully you don't have
Yeah.
lots of it. Or maybe you do in the mountains. But and I realize like I'm just thinking this now. Like I never say like be careful, but I'll say drive safe because maybe he has a bit of a he's very confident and maybe the speed limit is more of a suggestion. And for me, it's more of a like be safe, like stay in the speed limit, don't get any more tickets, like, and you know, it's interesting because it's like, that I'm not an actress, but you know how like you're not supposed to say break a leg to an actress or whatever?
Right.
Maybe it's the
Right.
same type of thing. Like, hey, be aware is more important than like be safe. Because like you're not going
Hmm.
to get in the car and purposely not be safe. But maybe
Yeah.
if you're crazy. I mean, it's okay. So sorry, we're talking about cars now. I started watching on the airplane the Brad Pitt F1 movie. Have you seen it?
No, I don't think so.
Essentially, like, holy smokes, those F1 drivers, they drive very fast. And it like, it's like, and
Hmm.
some people are like, it's their dream to like be a passenger in an F1 car, supercars, and go fast. I'm like, I'd like to not. Like, I'd like to like maybe go in the Fred Flintstone car and like control my own speed, please.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's
Yeah.
interesting.
Okay, that reminds me of I actually got to drive NASCAR.
Oh yeah.
Like I got to go on this experience to drive NASCAR, and
How was
I
that
was
for your
very
nervous system?
I was very cautious.
Yeah. Like, did you have like like, were you more excited or like kind of worried?
I was cautious.
Yeah, like,
Because you have to do a lot of training. You have to do like a 4 hour course, like to be able to do
were
this
you passenger
experience.
or driving?
I was driving. I know.
Crazy. I mean, good crazy. Like, good for
Yeah,
you.
I
Good for
know.
you. I have no desire.
Yeah. And then it was,
Like Shane will like speed and it doesn't feel like he's speeding. And I look at the like speedometer. I'm like, whoa, we gotta slow down. This is crazy.
I know, I know.
But I speed
And
too. When I drive, it's easier to drive fast than to be a passenger in the fast car.
yeah, it is.
But
It
don't
is.
speed, kids. It's bad.
Yeah.
Unless you're taking a NASCAR course or whatever.
Right.
Yeah,
But it
but
was
what?
funny because my husband actually did the course or did the thing with me and
Yeah.
my and then his sister and our brother-in-law. And my husband was like a speed demon.
Yeah.
And I was like, taking the turn, like like a grandma driving a NASCAR. But I had that somatic, experience in me, and that's probably why I am always like, you know, aware and more
Yeah.
cautious than maybe other drivers, which is great. But it's fascinating what, creates lessons like integrated into our body and mind.
Yeah. And also, like, I don't know what year your accident was in, but I know that technology, even in cars now, depending on the cars, are also set, like, cars are built differently. So if accidents like yours happen, there's a few more things in place probably to help protect.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. There might have been like a collision warning or something.
yeah, or maybe even one of those really smart cars that just stop.
Yeah. 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 This was way before that. So,
Yeah. I did airbags go off?
no, the car, let's see.
I've never had an airbag go off. I'm very surprised at
I
that.
can't, I think the car, it was, I'm thinking of what, when the year of the car, but I think it was like a, um early 90s Mustang, and so it was kind of before
Ooh,
all
a
that stuff.
Mustang.
Yeah, I know it was actually like a stick shift. I bought it from my cousin for $500.
Oh,
And but it was brown, so it wasn't like it's an amazing Mustang or something. And then because I never like technically learned very well to drive a stick, my dad took that car and then I drove his Camry
yeah.
whenever I got my license. So
That's
he was still driving that car and
yeah. Oh man, the Mustang. Okay. Well, as we're wrapping up here, I know that you've offered anyone, if they want to have a 30-minute spark call with you to ignite ideas into reality, her info is below. All of her links are below. Her full bio is below. Jenny's amazing. Just to even get into her world, she has a podcast. Do you want to just give a quick little like, what's your podcast about? What's it called?
yeah, of course. So I love storytelling, and these kinds of stories that have been life transforming are really key, I think, to our human experience and what makes us unique. And so I love interviewing people. It's called Guided by Imagination, and interviewing people about how imagination and creativity made a difference in their life. And also not only like what they do, but more of like who they are, who they're
Mhm.
being. And that's, I think, the magic of the human experience. And I bring that into my work too, with creating video storytelling too. So, like I mentioned in for that Spark call, it's like what kind of story like ignites who you are and
Mhm.
what sets you apart from the competition and how you shine your light and how we can really highlight that and ignite the flame
Yeah. And
of
I'm
your
honored
story.
because I get to be a guest on your show as well. So I think that's super cool because we're both very
Yay.
big into storytelling, personal, business, whatever it might be. And that's the whole basis of the Global Resilience Project is storytelling being a way to strengthen your resilience muscle, to help build empathy and help others navigate what they're going through while healing your heart. So I love that. What advice do you have for someone who's listening to this? Or someone who remembers this episode and something similar happens, like a car accident, and they still have to, go about life. They end up in the hospital. Like what is some advice that you have for them or that you wish that you would have had?
Hmm. I would say filter for lessons. First, start with gratitude. And, even if you're making a gratitude list, a gratitude journal, and really identify like, what did I learn from this experience? Or who did this experience shape me to be?
Hmm.
And how can I share this message to empower more people to move through these life experiences rather than get like stuck and stifled and not feeling enough about them? But you are a unique human being and you have a unique story to share, and having the confidence and resilience to get out there and share it, make
I,
an
l-
impact.
I love that. And how can people find you?
You can find me on all of the social medias, Jennie Edwards Stock, Jennie Edwards, Guided by Imagination, all of those things.
In the
Joyful
links,
Jennie
yeah.
sometimes.
The links are in the show notes. So don't, you can find her. And that's amazing. And I really appreciate you showing up. You're such a golden ball of light and energy and positivity and for sharing a story that happened to you. Car accidents are unfortunately very common. And there's so many different scales of like, bumpers, bumper car, like little bumper to bumper to like death. And it's hard because like you can't really plan for them. And, sharing how you survived through yours and where you are today, I think is such a testament to your resilience. I love that you have a celebration every day and you focus on that. And I think, to me, that's so powerful because I've been doing it for 10 plus years. So thank you for coming on our podcast.
Yay, and finding some joy. Share the love.
I love that. And thank you to everyone who tuned in for another episode of Resilient AF. It is okay to not be okay. You will get through the hard stuff. Take things one step at a time, one moment by moment. You don't have to go through it alone. You have us, you have the Global Resilience Project. And just remember, friends, you are resilient AF. That's a wrap for another episode of Resilient AF with Blair and Alana. And thank you for listening. Are you feeling inspired to bounce forward?
Let's connect at theglobalresilienceproject.com, where you can read many stories of resilience, buy our books, shop our clothing line, learn more about how to strengthen your resilience muscle, be empowered, and more.
Remember, friends, you are resilient AF.